Okay, so we are up to Mishlei 1312, and this is a weird one. Okay. I think I've done this one before, but like it's a weird one. So let's go. Tocheles mimushacha machala wait a minute, is that right? Machala lave, is that what it says? Hold on, just 1 second. That's a weird conjugation. Machala lave, not machalas lave. Okay. Oh, okay, now I get why. Okay, all right. You'll see. Tocheles mimushacha machala lave, the eitz chaim taava ba. Anyone want to take a stab at translating that? The words that you don't know or that the difficult words are tocheles means hope. Um, and mumushacha in this context means to be drawn out or postponed or deferred. And in fact, they quote our pasuk here, hope postponed or deferred. All right, who wants to try?
A drawn out hope is a sickness of heart,
Okay, the drawn out hope is a sickness of heart. Okay.
and the tree of life hmm, is a desire that came.
Yeah, yeah, and I think we're going to just rely on Rashi here, who says that this is a misurasu. This is you have to read it opposite direction. Taavah ba'a harehu ke'etz chaim. I think everyone reads it that way. I think, which means and a desire that came. Sorry, a desire that came is a tree of life. Okay, so that's our pasuk. All right, so let's go through our minimalist mafarshim here. So ציon translates it the way that you translated it, Yaakov, and that's also the way I would translate it. Machala is milashon choli umachov. So machala means sickness or pain. I'll just put pain in there. Okay. Sadia Gaon also translates. Oh, sorry, he translates it slightly differently, and I think this is the majority. He says hatochelas hamamushcha mechale es halev. So hope that is drawn out sickens the heart. That's weird. Is this really okay? Did I type this wrong? Hold on. Sadia Gaon Mishlei. Oop. Sorry about this. Sadia Gaon Mishlei. Let's see if I miscopied it. Okay, 5. Okay, so Sadia Gaon says 12. Yeah, ve'ein hachayim hatava hamidis. That's so weird. I didn't notice that when I typed it. So he says, yeah, okay. Anyone want to try translating that? So hope that is drawn out. Second thought, ve'ein hachayim hatava hamidis. I'm not even exactly sure how to translate, but who thinks they know what it is? What's ain with an ion?
There
The
is.
spring.
I think it's a spring also, yeah. And a spring of life is immediate pleasure or immediate desire, I guess. Okay. Okay.
What's
So
Hamidus?
yeah, that is a modern Hebrew word for like miyad, but it's like the maybe it's miyadis, I don't know, but medius, I think maybe I just say medius because I was like it. Yeah, okay. Targum, I was not able to find the translation of this phrase here. Man di mishade lema'adre tav min detali besivra of ilana dechai rigsa maisa. Okay, fine, I don't know this. And then I already announced this in my other shiur, or no, I announced this on. I think I announced this on another shiur, the secret site that I found on All Torah. So there, you're familiar with the Mikros Gedolos site, but then there's the MGS, Mikros Gedolos for Scholars site, which has some controversial resources. So one of the controversial resources is the Septuagint, is the Greek translation, which they translated to English. They are going to get the original Greek up there soon. So if you go to the menu in this one, you'll have the Targum Hashivim, and it'll have this here. They have a lot more. So this is a strange one also. Now again, this is the Greek translation. So like, take this with a lot of salt. Better is he that begins to help heartily. Okay, so they're learning tocheles as beginning. Okay. I don't know where they're getting help heartily or I don't even know this. Then he that promises and leads another to hope for a good desire is the tree of life. I don't think we need to think about this. to put it up here because we have it. Okay, Art Scroll says a drawn out hope brings sickness of heart, but desire attained is a tree of life. Okay, that's kind of like what we have. Rav Hirsch says deferred hope makes the heart sick, but a wish come true is a tree of life. And then Alter says drawn out longing sickens the heart, but desire come true is a tree of life. I think what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the Targum Hashivim, and I'm going to copy and paste all these translations into the chat because right now I think they're all candidates. Okay, so excuse me, I'll paste this into the chat. Okay. All right, so what are the questions? I mean, I feel like there's a big question that like just hits you in the face. I don't know if that's what we want to leave with. Yeah, Isaiah?
Yeah, I don't know if this is a big question.
Yeah.
Me like Taavah is generally not such a good thing. So
Right.
Chaim, why would you call
Okay,
Taavah?
that's to me the big yeah, okay. So generally speaking, okay, Taavah, which literally means like desire or lust, is used like carries a negative connotation. Okay. Like for example, I think do you guys associate to any particular instance of the word Taavah in Tanakh?
Is it used in Bereshit, but it does silver?
It does use that. That's true. Although, yeah, describe that's probably the first place it's used. When the Nachash seduces Chava into eating from the tree, and it says, it is desirable to the eyes. I guess that's a good place to associate to. I'm thinking of one that's a little bit more negative in the Chumash.
The Slav, maybe?
Yes, the Slav. Right. So the Kibros Hatava, the graves of desire. I think that's in Bamidbar's work. That. Kivros. Yeah. V'yikra Shem Hamakomahu Kivros Hatava Kisham Karvu Es Am Hamisavim. Right. So they call that place, the name of that place, the graves of desire or lust. I guess you don't use lust for food, but like instinctual desire, because that's where the people who were instinctually desiring were buried. Okay, so generally speaking, Taavah carries a negative connotation. Okay, and Chaim, okay, has a positive connotation. Okay, and what do you associate to the Eitz Chaim?
Gan Eden.
Gan Eden. Okay, so that's one thing. Hold on a second. So Kivros Hatava. And then Eitz Chaim has positive connotation. So like now I know you might think that's Eitz HaChaim, the tree of life. Is there another Torah? Okay, so Noah says Torah. So where is Eitz Chaim referred to as Torah?
It's in Mishlei.
It's in Mishlei, right? So it's chapter 3. Technically speaking, it's not Torah. It doesn't actually say Torah there. But people associate it to that because that's the pasuk that we sing when we take the Torah out of the Aron. It really is referring to Chachma, I think, if I remember correctly. It says, Ashrei Adam Matza Chachma v'Adam Yafik Tvuna. Happy / praiseworthy is the man who has found wisdom and the man who can derive understanding. Kitov Sachra Mischar Kasef Umecharutz Tuvosa. Its commerce is better than the commerce of silver, and its produce than fine gold. Yakarhi mipninim v'chol chavetzacha lo yishvuba. It is more precious than corals, and all of your desires don't equal to it. Orech yamin biminat bismola osher v'chavod. Length of days is at its right hand, and its left is wealth and honor. Its ways are ways of pleasantness, and all of its paths are peace. Eitz Chaim hi l'machazikim bav v'samcha ha'meushar. It is a tree of life to those who grab it, and those who support are happy. Right, so that's Chachma or Torah. Right, I think Rashi says. If I had to guess what Rashi says, he probably says it refers to Torah. Let's see if Rashi says that. He doesn't say. Okay, fine. Yeah, maybe he'll say it later on. Anyway, so yeah, so Eitz Chaim has a positive connotation, which is Torah or Chachma. Okay, so how can our pasuk seemingly like glorify Taavah, right? Very bizarre. To me, that's the most problematic thing about this pasuk. Okay. Yeah. All right. What else?
What is the drawn out hope?
Okay. What is a drawn out hope? Yeah. What is this referring to? What, like, how out is drawn out? Yeah, Ayala?
What is the scenario in the first half and in the second half, I guess?
Okay, yeah. You know what? I'm going to move this question down. Okay, so let's say here, what scenario, if any, specific, is this talking about in the first and second half? Yeah, Isaiah?
What is hope? I feel like that's a phenomenon that we've never talked about in Mishlei.
Yeah, I feel like you're right. And I'm actually curious to see how often it is used in Mishlei or in general, because there's also a weird word for hope, tocheles. Yeah, it might use that. Yeah, tocheles looks like it's not used very often. It's used 3 times in Mishlei. Oh, that's surprising to me. Tocheles tzadikim simcha, v'tikvas v'rayim tovit. So apparently we've done a pasuk about tocheles. Okay, b'mos adam rasha tova tikva v'tocheles onim avada. Apparently done 2 psukim about tocheles, and this is the 3rd one. Okay, fine. So apparently we know what it is, but yeah, So we got to ask what that is. So what is so let's just ask that. What is tocheles? Hope. Yeah. Also, if I asked you to translate the word hope into Hebrew, what word would you say?
Tikva.
Tikva. Okay, right. So we're gonna see if we do the Malbim. He says that there's a difference between tocheles and tikva. So I'm just gonna put this here, even though it's not a question that comes from our pasuk. I'll just say why. Actually, I'll put this. Yeah, why use this weird word instead of tikva? Okay, now it's possible it's using it for the like the I don't know if this is an alliteration, tocheles machala, like the play on words there, But yeah, okay, Ricky.
So I'm wondering if this is considered to be like an opposite pasuk, and then if it is, I can understand more how like hope and then desire, would be opposites, but I'm not so much understanding the second half of each of them.
Right. Okay, so are these, I guess how, if at all, are these opposites? And sorry, which part did you say that you had the harder, easier time with?
Like meaning the first half of each, like the hope and the desire, like I can understand how but the other half I don't.
Right, especially the sickness of heart versus tree of life, right? I would think tree of life is like a botanical mashal, and sickness of heart is like a health mashal. Yeah, Ariel.
Yeah, my question, what's the oh, okay, never mind. She just asked it.
Okay. All right, next is my dad.
What is sickness of the heart?
Yeah, what is sickness of
And
the heart?
how does it cause, or how
Yeah.
does the hope cause the sickness? What's the
Okay, so what
mechanism?
is the sickness or pain of the heart? Okay, and then how does the drawn out hope cause sickness? Yeah, I just want to add also, what is it like? What is sickness or pain of the heart? Is this literal? Okay, right, it's like, does it actually make you physically ill? Is it figurative? Right, like oh, I'm, it makes me sick. It doesn't actually make you sick all the time when we say that. Is it like wildly allegorical? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Ayala?
What is
My
a
dad,
tree of
yeah. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, what is Eitz Chaim, and in what way is the desire that came in Eitz Chaim?
Yeah. Okay, so what is Eitz Chaim? And in what way is the desire that came like, or an Eitz Chaim, which is equated with an Eitz Chaim? Yeah. Yeah, David?
How is this actionable?
Yeah. What is the practical application, right? Like, is it telling you to seek Taavah and like avoid hoping for things?
Yeah, I'm just also asking it specifically. I asked it in a little bit of a different way than usual because these don't even seem, aside from what is the practical application, it just doesn't seem actionable to say that this is a painful thing and this is a pleasurable thing, particularly insofar as like a drawn out hope or something that like just came about, or like a desire. They don't seem like actions that you take to then get to a practical application to do something about it.
Okay, so I'll add the way you asked it. I'm still not 100% convinced which one is the better way to ask it. How is this actionable? Because the reason why is because I don't know if it we should assume that the pasuk is actionable, like that it translates directly into action, or if it is pointing out a phenomenon, we can factor into, practical. Like to me, asking what is actionable means like, tell me an action that this suggests,
Yeah, I
Is
hear
that what you
that.
meant by it? Okay. Yeah, I'll put this in parentheses because I still think what's the practical application is more broad and rightfully so. Yeah, Isaiah?
So Anna asked this question where she asked like, what does it mean? In what way is the desire that came equated with an eighth time?
Yeah.
I would say like that's sort of presupposing that what the pasuk is doing is like equating the two things.
Yeah.
But it could be that like Taavah is like it causes an eighth time, or like
Okay. Yeah. So
from an
I'll
eighth
just say
time.
associated with Eitz Chaim. And then actually I'm gonna make these two different questions. So what is the Eitz Chaim? And then we also should ask, what does Taavah Ba'a refer to? That comes refer to. And then how, like, what is the relationship between a Taavah that comes and Eitz Chaim? Yeah.
You have a typo in question 8.
In question 8, what does mean? Thank you. Yeah. Okay. What else?
I have another question just going with that. Why
Yeah.
eighth time versus other positive ways to refer to
Yeah.
something good?
Why frame it this way as opposed to other positive ways to frame things? Yeah. Have we, hold on a second. I want to see if we've had another eights pasuk in our parak. I don't think we have. Oh yeah, we did. Well, we didn't say eights, did it? Hold on. Eights. Atzel, no. But we did have the fruit. That's what I was thinking of. Wait, didn't we have? Yeah, Miprifi Ish Yochel Tov Nefesh Bogdim Chomas. We did talk about fruits. That's really, really far back. Too far back for me to comfortably say that it ties to this. Also, I just want to see what the next pasuk is. No, it doesn't seem to have to do with trees. Okay, fine. Yeah, Isaiah? Or yeah.
What's the consequence of having the sickness of heart?
Yeah, okay, that's a good question also. What is the consequence of sickness of heart? Is it just pain? Yeah, I guess that's going to be intertwined with 5. Yeah, Rivki?
I'm not sure if this would be included in like scenario or practical application, but I'm wondering who this is speaking to, especially
Yeah, I
because
think so.
it's not like any specific person.
Yeah, who, if anyone specific, is the audience of this pasuk? Okay. I think that's probably our main questions. So let me move on over to the chat. Okay, chat. 1 through 5. And okay, I got to change all the numbers. And 11 and 12. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So we got a work cut out for us here. All righty. Let's take our thinking minute and try to think. I think I want to also ask Rabbi Moskowitz a question, which Ariel has been championing the cause of as of late. What is the subject of this pasuk? And by that, I mean, like, what topic is this about? I think having that question at the forefront of our mind and also making sure that we can answer it to like with whatever idea we come up with, I think is going to be a clarifying tool. Okay, Dev, you want to take it away?
Sure. Okay, so I think maybe this is talking about the nature of fantasizing over something, and the best way to get rid of that fantasy is to actually just engage in to some extent. of what you're hoping for. I
Okay.
think that the more that you draw out and build up a fantasy and you're hoping for this thing, the more it's going to plague you and you're really going to have this desire for it. It's going to sicken and pain your heart. And once you actually just partake of it in some extent and see that it's not actually as enjoyable as you had thought, then you're going to now be in that tree of life stage where you're going to be not necessarily more knowledgeable tree of life, but that you're going to be past that and you're going to be more satisfied and
Oh,
not
interesting.
desire after in the same way.
Okay. So that's a very interesting idea with interesting implications. I'm not sure if I accept the truth of the idea. But there definitely is truth in the idea. All right, let's talk this out. Okay. So first of all, what would you say the subject of the pasuk is? I forgot if you said that, but
I'd say like doing away, like getting out of the grips of fantasy.
okay. How to escape the grips of fantasy. Okay, so the first part, the first half is telling us that if you cultivate and sorry, that's not how you spell cultivate. Cultivate and pursue and fuel the fire of your so hope here is like synonymous for fantasy for you, right? Yeah, your fantasy. So this will just result in a state of pain, okay? But if you engage a little bit with that fantasy and realize that it's not what it seems to be, then you'll find yourself on the track of the Eitz Chaim. And are you giving a specific definition of Eitz Chaim, or are you just saying it's like development and Torah, something like?
Yeah, not a particular definition.
Okay, fine. Okay, so I think that's a very appealing idea, but I feel like the opposite usually happens with people, right? I feel like when people get a little taste of the thing that they're fantasizing about, then they go further into it, either because like it strengthens the itself, and there might be part of them that recognizes that like maybe this thing is not all it's cut out to be, but like look around the world, like pretty much in every sector of like fantasy, then people go further and further into it. So I like halavai, this were the case. Like if only this were the case that you could just partake of it a little bit and then realize it's that it's fake. But yeah, so that's what I mean by questioning whether it's true.
No, there is difficulty because I do hear that. I definitely see the reality of that. Yeah, I do think that. I mean, I think both are true. I think that from my understanding, that also there is such a phenomenon that like an area of fantasy that has not been at all tapped into is incredibly strong, incredibly appealing. And that's what I was positing. That I mean, at some point when you do partake of it, to some extent, and at the very least, it's not fantasy anymore. It's in some ways more reality. I think like part of the buildup and maybe what we see is because people think that they didn't get the real thing.
That was the next point I was gonna make, which is that that the problem usually manifests as someone saying, well, this one didn't do it, but the next one will, or this quantity didn't do it, but the next one will, if I get more, then it'll do it, The idea that you're saying, though, that it reminds me of that I do fully agree with, which I just want to say because it's a good idea I think about a lot, is I think in the TTL series on Teshuvah, it's either the first tape or the second tape, then Rabbi Chait says the only upside of a sin is that immediately after the sin, if you are actually like looking objectively, if you use that as an opportunity to like look objectively at what just happened, you can see that it didn't live up to what you thought it was going to be, and you could use that as an opening for like doing tshuva. So I think that's like the address of the idea that you just said. But I think that in the context of tshuva, it makes sense to like say, like if you sin, then look out for like the reality and the action and like take pause. I feel like this pasuk is like speaking to, it's like advertising Eitz Chaim too much. And I don't feel like comfortable like universalizing, saying that this is something to rely on, especially if you look at like the audience that Mishlei is written for, like, let's say like, the kid who's like joining the gang in the first parak, like he gets a little taste of that gang life and he just wants more, so yeah, so nice, very nice attempt though. But and again, it has truth in it, but I don't think this works out for our pasuk. Unless I'm going to keep it up here in case anyone wants to salvage it. But yeah, okay, Isaiah, you're up.
Okay, mine is kind of similar to what David said, but like different.
Yeah, mine's also similar to what David's saying, by the way. I think it does the other thing, David, by the way, that is like, I think we're in the right area. Like, I think that's, we're definitely in the right area. Yeah,
right. So I guess I'm viewing this as like telling you about like different types of pursuits. Like you could set your eyes, metaphorical eyes, onto like areas of pleasurable things and ways to have fun that are, you get the pleasure and it was good and you enjoyed it, like learning. Let's say learning is pleasurable, it's good. But when you're not learning, maybe you're someone on a really high level might enjoy it, but it's not like you're constantly like longing for it and it's like this strong desire and it's like pulling you in. And there's certain things that like you can set your eyes on, like I don't know, drugs or something like that, where when you're not having it, you're constantly thinking about it and it's like drawing you in. And that's like the pasuk is telling you that make a smart decision about like what you decide to involve yourself with in terms of like ways to spend your time or like enjoy yourself. Like there are enjoyments, there are taavahs that are okay because they're not like extreme taavahs that leave you in a state of I guess this drawn out hope where you could eventually like certain things have like fantasies where you're like imagining that you could like get a certain point, but like you never get there because that's just how it's set up, like a drug addiction or something like that.
Yeah. Okay, that's a great idea. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. So the subject of the pasuk is basically choosing what types of pleasures you make life revolve around or that you seek as your source of pleasure. And it's saying rather than choosing something that is gonna like you basically like it's saying like when choosing which pleasures to like pursue in life, think about the state you're going to be in the interim. I think those are too many ins. Whatever. This is just notes. Okay. And how painful and long that state will, that condition will last. And think about whether it's worth it. The example that comes to my mind is like, these people, I mean, there's so many examples, but like the example you chose of drugs is like an addictive state where you are constantly like looking for the drug. But I think people do this with like ego-based goals as well, like winning a gold medal in the Olympics or like climbing Mount Everest, where like you set up this thing that that you could be spending like years, or decades, whatever, like going after, and in a state of like constant like letdown. And there are things that are pleasurable that you can just like that are within reach, that you don't have to be in that state of pain. Yeah. Arrival fallacy traps. I'm not familiar with that. Noah said that. Arrival. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that term. But it sounds good. Okay.
Can I ask a question on that?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just an Isaiah's question. My question is, like what's the hope that then, like, in this? Because it seems like it's the idea is focused on, different types of pursuits.
Yeah.
But is that hope? Is that
You mean why does it use the word hope as opposed to, let's say, desire or something?
Yeah, like it just seems like, I don't know, like it's just not really answering the question.
Okay, Isaiah, what do you want to say?
I mean, maybe what I was thinking is that like there are certain types of desires where like when you don't have it, there's like a longing to have it again, and that's the hope.
Yeah, longing is good. Is probably better translation for this.
It's like the fantasy that is gonna like. Well, I don't know. I'm just stick with what I said.
Yeah.
Well, so what are you hoping for? What are you longing for?
For the pleasure.
The thing you want.
For the pleasure?
The thing that will satisfy you. Right.
Okay, so we're gonna translate Tokas as longing now. Okay, fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was one of the I just want to look back at the dictionary and see what it said. Hope. Yeah. I guess we'd really have to look at the other examples to like really get the fine meaning. Let me just see if the Radak what he says. Yachel. Okay, this is not gonna be productive. Okay, fine. Okay, yeah. All right, nice idea.
Can I ask another question? Just just more of like a factual question. So in Rhapsodigon, how is it getting spring of life instead of Eitz Chaim like the tree of life?
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I actually checked the translation. I just don't know where he's getting that from. It says Eitz Chaim, Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My idea was so similar to his that. Do I want to say it now? Hold on just a second. My idea was virtually the same, but maybe it's exactly the same. Okay, I'm not going to say my idea. I'll see if it develops as we go. But yeah, all right, Rivki.
So I don't know if mine's like very similar.
Okay, fine. All right. So once you say yours, maybe I'll say mine.
So the only difference that I was thinking was, I guess, I don't know if it's more broad or if it's like a little bit of a different branch.
Yeah.
But I know I was wondering if you were going to get that.
Yeah.
But it was more about, I guess, setting realistic goals as
Yeah.
opposed to like different kinds of pursuits. Because I really liked that idea. But I think I was just thinking more of like, if you set a realistic goal, and maybe this is just a nuance in the idea itself, but if you set a realistic goal, you won't have that drawn out desire. Because if it's realistic, then that means that you can accomplish it in a normal amount of time for that thing. And like I was thinking, even something like a PhD, yeah, like that might take 7-10 years, but it's still realistic because you know that that's the normal amount of time that that thing would take. So I think like it doesn't necessarily matter about the amount of time as much as the thing that you're trying to achieve and the expectation that you have for that thing.
Okay, so setting realistic goals in the sense of like making your hopes line like the making the timeline of your hope line up with what's reasonable to expect.
Yeah, and then like everything else, I think like I was thinking very similarly to what Isaiah was saying. It was just like that one difference.
Okay. Yeah, versus fill in the Isaiah idea. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna say what I was thinking also, just for the second half. I was thinking the same thing as Isaiah for the first half. For the second half, I was thinking that there's something about the word ba'a, Taavah ba'a, that it's being depicted as though, or it's being talked about as though you didn't seek it. Like it just came, So I wonder if like the second half, like perhaps the second half is talking about setting up your expectations for pleasure in such a way that that like you don't have expectations, so all the pleasures that encounter are super enjoyable, okay, and like rejuvenating, like an Eitz Chaim. Okay, meaning I still also don't know what Eitz Chaim is. I feel like Eitz Chaim is like a metaphor that for us only means Torah, but like maybe had different resonance back then. But to me, it's the Taavah ba'a, and I'll tell you, like I know I've spoken about this a lot before, but I just want to find out what day this is. So as many of you know, I do my gratitude journal, and my gratitude journal Chavrusa, and I am on today's day 939 that I've done this for, so it's pretty long now. And so the three things that I do that my Chavrusa and I do is each day we write down three things we're grateful for, one act of chesed or tzedakah we did, and then one moment of savoring. Okay, so the moment of savoring is a time that we consciously like stopped and like enjoyed or felt what we were feeling. And one of the purposes of that, other than like that also helps with the gratitude, but one of the purposes of that is like you basically prime yourself to enjoy lots and lots of experiences, because you're training yourself to like stop and pull yourself out of like this desire to just like go ahead and just enjoy what is happening to you right then, So that, just speaking from experience, the Taavah ba'a, like many times, it'll be like, excuse me, like the enjoyment will hit me. And then I'm not going to write about this today, but like I'm in Connecticut, and like it's cold, and there's like in the school building, there's like glass doors that you buzz into, and then there's like a vestibule, and then there's the doors, another set of doors into the building. So when I was exiting the building, like it was pretty cold, and I walked into like the area that had been warmed by the like the sun going through the glass, and it just felt like summer. I had this like burst of summer. I was like, oh, that was unexpectedly pleasant, you know. So like that's what I'm getting at for the Taavah Ba thing is like if you've made your desires so to use a trite phrase like so like you know, in line with reality, but by in line with reality, I mean like in line with what is accessible to you now, like what Isaiah was saying. So then these desires will just you know, will surround you. You know, it's almost like David Melech says in I know this is a different idea, but in Mizmor LeDavid for in 23, he says Ach tov v'chesed yirdefuni kol yemei chayai, that goodness and kindness will chase after me all the days of my life. And I think the Ibn Ezra has an idea on that, Ibn Ezra learns that this chapter is about sameach b'chalko, is about someone who's content with what they have. V'him samechin b'chalkam v'yachshu ki lechem umayim k'neged kol tanug hamatamim. Okay, fine. So he learns about sameach b'chalko. Does he say this or did I say this? You're between kolkach. Yeah. Oh no, he learns it differently. Never mind. Yeah, I think there is that. I think we came up with an idea for this once about like, you know, if you have this if you cultivate this appreciation of the good and you pursue things that are like in line with like practical decision making, it's gonna feel like goodness is chasing after you. Like you won't even have to look for it. It's just like you're being pelted with enjoyment, you know. So yeah, so similar to Isaiah's. Okay, anyone want to add on to any of these for now? And if not, I'll call.
Yeah, it's slightly different idea, but very similar to said before.
Sure, go ahead. Yeah.
I guess I'm taking Techas Mimushacha
Yeah.
to be a case where someone is very hung up on getting a one-time thing.
Okay.
Like a promotion or like winning your race,
Okay.
you said, or I know a coworker who is obsessed with a certain stock that he wants to regain his money from. So I think there is like a Mishlei in cases like that where someone is just so hung up about getting the thing they want that they don't consider that their state of deprivement is going to be bad or is neutral to them.
Yeah.
Whereas it's coming and telling you that it's not just the case that you don't have the thing you want, and that if you get it, you'll have it. But all the while that you're longing for it and not getting it, that is actively weakening your psyche.
Yeah. Okay, that's really good. And I like the way you said weakening your psyche. Because also wondering about, you could say Machshavah Lab, that it sickens the heart just in terms of the experience. But to me, sickens the heart means it like makes it sick, like it somehow impairs it or like, you know, causes it to like not function properly. So Yaakov was saying that an extended hope refers to someone who's so hung up on getting one pleasurable thing, enjoyable thing. For example, like a promotion, or like winning it big, that they consider how much pain they're going to experience in the interim, and how much that can detrimentally affect their psyche. Yeah, okay, that's a really good idea. I like that. Okay, next is my dad.
So I want to focus on a drawn-out hope because the pasuk says that's going to have bad consequences.
Right.
We can talk about sickness of the heart. I can't connect this to the second half of the pasuk. There's a quote, and I'm sure Matt has heard me say this quote, that came from the CEO of JetBlue. One summer they had a real disaster where there were these planes left on the tarmac for hours and hours and hours. And it was just a very unpleasant experience. And it was really a disaster. And he was being interviewed afterwards about, did you learn anything from the experience? And he had a great quote. He said, yes, I did. Hope is not a plan.
Right.
And, you know, when I take a patient to the operating room, I hope they're going to do well. I hope there's going to be no complications. But that hope has got to stop if things start going wrong. Hope can sometimes be an interference of action.
Okay.
So it's not hope that brings sickness. It's drawn out hope when it goes too far.
Okay. All right, good. So let me write this down, and then Ariel wants to add to that. So hope is not a plan. So this is very different than the approaches we're taking, but I like that. So when our pasuk talks about hope, it's not a synonym for desire. but it is it's referring to like a fantasy where a person feels like the hope itself is going to accomplish something. But in reality, it's just going to bring about. Are you saying it's going to bring about the sickness of the heart? Is that in? Did you just say what that's referring to?
Yeah, I mean, no, I don't have an explanation for sickness of the heart except for the fact that it's a bad outcome.
Okay.
Well, the other place where you see this is people who end up getting a relationship gets broken up. And
Yeah.
one person keeps hoping that,
Right.
you know, my partner will come back.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, you got to stop hoping.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Ariel, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think what your dad was saying, what Dan was saying, you know, it's kind of like definitely on board with my idea, so I could add on. You know,
Sure. Yeah.
I would say that
We'll
like,
share them. We'll work it out. Yeah.
yeah, you know, like, you know, it's like what your dad said, you know, like hope, you know, hope is not a plan, and I think, you know, the more you rely on hope, there's really no, you know, you don't have an intellectual security in, you know, what the outcome will be. Well, I'm getting that from the second half of the puzzle because the consequence of the hope is it's anxiety. You're gonna have a lot of anxiety. It's gonna torture you. You don't know what's going on. It's gonna be very painful.
And it's going to bring about, I don't know which one of the puzzles referring to, but you're gonna have anxiety like in the moment and when you get the consequences of not having a plan.
Yeah, which is good because it's not all hope. I think some hope is okay because there is a phenomenon of yeah, there's not much I can do anymore, and I at a certain point, okay, I just hope in God to you know solve something or whatever. Yeah, but a drawn out hope, that's the issue, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the second half of the pasuk, I think that you know, and I'm not gonna translate it like Rav Sadiqon, but I'm gonna use his how he, you know, formulated the pasuk like, and a tree of life is immediate desire. I want to say that the truth of the matter is, I don't think there's an issue going after your desire. You know, because we're in Mishlei. You know, we're in Mishlei. We're humans. We have desires, and we want to go for it.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's okay, but I think it's the method of how you go about the desire is important. Like the first half of the pasuk, like if you're hoping about getting to your desire, that's an issue. But if you strategically plan out how you're going to get what you want, your desire, let's say you want a promotion. Well, okay, fine. What are the steps to do it? Or I don't know, you want to, I don't know, whatever. If you want to learn how to speed read for 21 days, you know, you can take a speed reading course, which I'm actually in the process of doing, but whatever.
Oh my. We'll have to talk about that later. But anyway, but so I get the idea of what you're saying for the second half, that this is Mishlei and he's totally fine telling you to pursue your desires as long as you do it intelligently. In fact, this also answers a question that I had on all of our explanations, which is that maybe not on Yaakov's, but on Isaiah's, Rivki's, and mine, is that it seems more like a Koheles pasuk than a Mishlei pasuk, because it's about like what types of pleasures you build your life around. Not that it can't be in Mishlei, but it strikes me as a Koheles flavored pasuk. But I think Ariel's point is like leaning right into Mishlei, you know. But what does it mean though that it says that it is an Eitz Chaim? I still am missing that.
And Eitz Chaim, I'm translating Eitz Chaim as, you know, like the Torah, but I'm using the Torah as a, you know, a method, a strategic method on approaching your desires. Like it should be done through Chachma.
Yeah, but it's still, pasuk is weird. It's saying that like, and Torah is desire that came. Like it's just it doesn't feel like it's saying that, you know, like I just don't see how it's saying what you wanted to say. I do like the idea, and the idea that you're saying is the opposite of this first half, but I'm not happy with that second half. Eitz Chaim Taavah Ba'a. Yeah.
Can I try something for
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
second half?
Yeah.
So maybe if a person does pursue their desires intelligently with chachma, then once the desires came, they're going to be like, the person is going to be satisfied with them, and also like their chachma efforts just paid off, and it's going to reinforce for them the like importance and role of chachma, and it's just going to cause them to continuously like pursue chachma in order to get more of their desires. So it's kind of going to be like an upward spiral of chachma.
Okay.
So it's
So
like
here's how you would read it. Okay, I do like that, and here's how you would read it. I'm just gonna. Oops. What happened? Yeah. So the way I would read the second half is hold on, I just had it in my mind. And desire that was satisfied through the implication is like was satisfied. Hold on a second. Yeah, I don't know if this is the best way to read it. I thought properly is a tree of life. Okay, meaning like it will you'll get what you want. You'll get what you want, and you'll strengthen your future ability to get what you want. Because you're reinforcing good decision making. Yeah. That is much better. That is much better, and that is saying what Ariel wanted to say. I still would like a way to read the second half that does not involve like putting in other phrases. So if anyone has that, that'd be good.
Can I add on to that?
Yeah.
I like what Ayala was saying. I think that the truth of the matter is like maybe the pasuk is coming to teach you, the second half of the pasuk is coming to teach you that maybe not like maybe the pasuk is not teaching you, okay, go after your desires, but it's teaching you what the ultimate, the objective desire is. And I think that like, yeah, you could chase your desires in a very unique way, but if you chase it through chachma, when you get your desire, you're going to see how your desires came about, and you're always going to really really, once you do see it, you're gonna appreciate the chachma and how you got to the desire, and that in itself is the ultimate desire.
Yeah, it's a true idea. I just wish I saw it in the words. Yeah.
Well, why not? If you say, and a tree of life is immediate desire, that in itself is desire. Chachma is an immediate desire.
Okay, let me think about it. A tree of life is immediate desire that. I see what you're saying. Meaning, if you translate the way Sadigon translates
Yeah. I've always
you said that. I just
didn't, but I'm not using spring of life. I'm using tree of life.
Right. Okay. And a tree of life is immediate desire. Okay, good. So that does work out then. Yeah. Okay, good. Meaning that if you use your chachma to get your immediate desires, then that'll be a tree of life in the way that Ayala was saying. Okay, good. All right, I like that. Okay, that's a good idea. Okay, good. So we have two categories of ideas, two clusters of ideas. All right, anyone else have any other approaches or even half-baked ideas before we go to the Mefarshim? Yeah, Rifki.
No, not idea. I'm just wondering, can you like help me differentiate or understand how Ariel's fits into your dad's? Because I'm not understanding.
Yeah, so my dad was talking about a person. So the subject matter according to these approaches is how you go about getting what you want. And my dad was saying, if you hope for it, like there are people who are just like hoping or just like waiting for the thing to come. And that's not a plan, and you're not going to get your desire, and all you're going to get is the pain or anxiety or like heartbreak or whatever, whereas if you go and you use the Eitz Chaim, you use Chachma to make it happen, then to get your immediate desires, then you won't have that bad result, and it'll be like you'll feel it like an Eitz Chaim. Like that's why in other words, it could have said one who uses Chachma will get immediate desire satisfied, but it's using a time to teach the idea that like Ariel and Ayala are saying, where it's going to like lead to further development.
So just to clarify, because I think I didn't express exactly what was like confusing to me. Well, I understand like everything that your dad was saying. So are you saying that Ayala and Ariel added to that idea by I guess like adding that second half with the intellectual.
Yeah, let me just try synthesizing all of them into one. Okay. So like main idea is this pasuk is talking about two ways to two methods of attempting to attain what you desire. Okay. Hope, the hope plan. Okay. In which you don't actually, use chachma and take active steps to bring it about, to obtain what you desire. And all you're left with is the pain of yearning. Okay. So this is path number one. And then path number two is hold on, I just lost again. I just want to see if tree of life is immediate desire. I'm going to call it the tree of life plan, where you use chachma, okay, which is called a tree of life, to get the immediate desire. And even though it's immediate, and you're pursuing it, eventually you'll develop through that chachma, and it'll be pleasurable. Okay. In other words, using chachma to get your immediate, to like get the things you want in the immediate, is going to train you in chachma, which will then allow you to both broaden like the types of desires you pursue, and also like, not really and sharpen your ability to like get it. Okay, let's try some of them before. I did not have time to learn through them today in preparation, so this is kind of I just glanced at them. So let's start off like we usually do with David and see if we can get an idea from him. So he said, I'm going to translate it on the side here. Okay, Hamiyachal l'davar ma, someone who yearns for something, v'hi nimshechas umis acheres lavolo, and it is protracted and delayed in getting to him. L'ka'av leiv. Wait. Oh, he lo l'ka'av leiv. It will be a source of pain to his heart. Kasher ba Taavah hi lo la'etz hamagadel chaim v'yerufe mika'ev halev. And when a desire comes, it will be to him like a tree. I don't know exactly what it means. A tree hamagadel chaim, that grows life, or promotes the growth of life. Maybe promotes the growth of life. V'yerupe mika'ev halev, and heals his the pain of his heart. Okay, so before we understand like what his idea is, what is he doing with the pasuk? Or like what move? He's making a weird move here, an interesting move. Which is different than anything that we've learned. Yeah, Rifki?
Is it that he's adding the pain of his heart to the end? Like,
yes. Right. So we've been treating it as though each half of the pasuk is its own decision, but this is what I call like a story time pasuk. Okay. That it's describing one scenario. Okay. Not just one scenario, but like a sequence, that if you're waiting for something to come and you don't get it, then you're in a state of pain. And then when immediate pleasure comes, then that will be like again, I don't know the metaphor, but it'll be like a life-promoting tree that removes the pain, right? So he's talking about the same guy. So it's not two different decisions. It's one person who is waiting, experiencing pain. And then when the desire comes, then it removes the pain. So the question is, what is he talking about, though? And is that even true? So let me just summarize here. Summary we have here is, this is describing one sequence of events. Okay, a person is waiting for something that is oh, you know what else he's doing? Hold on just a second. this is what I intended, but I might not have been clear. He says a person who yearns for something, okay, and it's protractedly getting to him, it will be a source of pain, okay, meaning the thing he's yearning for. And when a desire comes, okay, then it will remove that pain of his heart. So we're not talking about him getting the thing he desires. We're talking about him getting some other desire, and that's somehow removing this pain. So that's what's kind of like mystifying to me. So a person is waiting for something that is a long time coming, okay, and he will be in a state of pain. But when a desire comes, okay, which I assume means it's satisfied in him, okay, it will remove that pain. So the question is like, what is he talking about? Yeah, Isaiah?
So this sounds to me like, and I kind of disagree with you that it means that it's satisfied.
Yeah.
That maybe this is like someone who kind of like really wanted something and then wasn't able to get it and they get kind of like down about it for a long time.
Yeah.
So then the thing that takes them out of that is like getting interested in something else.
Oh,
And
having
like
the desire?
having the desire.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, that fits in better with the words. Why doesn't the cycle just repeat itself? Yeah.
Well, it just this particular thing is what he that's
Yeah.
the thing that didn't get fulfilled, but like something else might.
Yeah. Okay, so that's not as problematic as my read, but it still is problematic in that I'm not exactly sure how it works. But I see where you're going with it. You know, like that's like, you know, people say that with like someone who's like depressed, and I feel like it's not good advice. Like, you know, maybe you should get a hobby. You know, like yeah. Ariel?
Yeah, I just have a way of thinking about it, but I don't have any ideas
Okay,
whatsoever.
sure.
But maybe a question that we can ask is, you know, in what way does a tree promote the growth of life? Like, is he
Yeah.
talking about like a literal tree that promotes life in a specific way, such that
Right.
somehow this new desire will heal him from
Yeah.
this yearning that
Right.
took a long time in this pain of
Definitely, you're
heart?
right. Definitely sounds like he's saying that. Right. Right. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to add this as a question right here. Is how is this desire like a tree of life? Like, what is this tree of life doing to heal him? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't know, whatever.
Okay. Yeah. I think my dad was next.
Maybe we need to look at what are the qualities of a tree.
Yeah.
A tree is substantial, it has roots, it grows, it's solid. That, you know, these are all desirable
Dependable.
adjectives in just, you know, in describing an outcome or describing a person or describing a circumstance. And maybe that's what they're saying is if your desire is fulfilled in the right way, it won't just be like a moment of pleasure, but it'll be something substantial.
Right. Yeah, so the problem, so that does make sense as a reading of the tree analogy. So now the question is, what is the scenario he's talking about here? So we got a guy who's waiting for something and it's not coming and he's really upset, and that's a sickness. And then is this like Isaiah was saying? I mean, it's not like, I mean, I know you're not reading like it was saying, but like, yeah, what is it telling him? I think if we figure out practically also what this is advising you to do, then that might help. Yeah, Ayala?
Can you say it's like telling it like he's obviously has all these energies wrapped up in this like desire that's not being fulfilled, that's just like a drawn out hope.
Yeah.
So if he's able to like redirect his energies, just like move them into a desire, like something else, because they can't just be sitting there, they're just like
Right.
wasting kind of
Yeah.
and making him frustrated. So if he can just direct them towards something which is like something that actually will yield some results,
Yeah.
like I don't know, I feel like that could help in practical situations.
Yeah. Okay, so now I have the original problem, which is like, isn't it weird to like say reroute it through Taavah? Like it just does not feel like Mishleic advice, you know, and maybe that's not a good question. And maybe you could say Ariel's interpretation that Mishlei is fine promoting Taavah, but it's just, but yeah, but from a psychodynamic standpoint, I agree with what you're saying. Is like you have to get your energies out of that thing that it's obsessed with and like redirect it elsewhere, and then it could like become the source of life.
does it literally need to mean like desire as like Taavah, like indulgent desire, or can it just be like where your energies like are drawn towards something to do?
There's nothing that makes us need to say that it is an instinctual like bad desire. It could just be a draw of energies. And what really we should do, which we're not going to do now, is I just want to see for just for curiosity's sake, how often is the word Taavah used? Not a whole ton. I mean, this is one form of it. Oh, there's all forms of it. Yeah, look at that. 8 times in Tillim and 8 times in Mishlei, and once in these other books. Yeah, I'd have to see if it uses it in that way. Yeah, it's not like I have a problem with what you're saying. It's not sitting well with me for some reason. Yeah, Rifki?
Yeah, it could be like I'm completely putting something in that doesn't fit. But
Yeah.
I was thinking like the reason why, well, I'll explain before I even go to that part. I was
Yeah.
thinking, is it really true? Because to me, it almost seems like we were saying before, like in Kohelet, like that idea of like, just like always wanting, and then that's just a cycle. So to me, like I was like, well, that's what this pasuk reminded me of in terms
Yeah.
of his explanation.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking more along the lines of like, and maybe I'm just putting our own interpretations into it, but like maybe depending on what it is and like how that person relates to it. And I guess his way of thinking about it reminded me of like that whole story with Avram and how like, he wanted an heir for so long and then he never got it. I mean, not that he never did, but I mean, 99 years is a very long time.
Yeah.
So kind of more similar to like that story.
Yeah. Hold on just one second. I'm just going to pause the recording. Rifki, I lost the last part of what you were saying. Sorry, just say it one more time.
So I was just saying, basically like the example I gave of that, like how could this idea be true was like, I was just thinking about Avram and how like he had a desire for obviously having a son. And I think like it just depends on, and that's where I'm, getting those extrapolations of his idea from of saying, yeah, there's so many factors that depend on it. Like Isaiah was saying, if it's for drugs, like that obviously is not going to be a good thing. But I think if it's for something like wanting a son to perpetuate, obviously, like the goodness of the world in Hashem's name, then it is like a tree of life, and it did end up happening. But he had to work through whatever he had to
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I actually had that objection when you were saying your idea about like as long as it's a realistic desire with a realistic time frame. My thought was I don't think I was thinking about Avram, but I was thinking about people who are really trying to accomplish something that is like like real and real good, but like it might take longer than your lifespan, and I'm sure that those people feel like pain as well, and like we're not telling people to like abandon that, yeah. Ariel, what do you want to say?
Okay, I'm gonna just take a shot in the dark right now.
Go ahead. Yeah.
But but I want to start off with comparing the tree. So I want to say using the Machshavah Lab, like someone who yearns for something and is protracted and delayed in getting to him, it will be a source of pain and sorrow. Okay, fine. And when a desire comes, it will be to him, like he's equating it with the like a tree that promotes the growth of life. Meaning, so he is the desire is the tree. Okay.
Yeah.
And the him is the growth of life. Okay. That's how I'm kind of like interpreting it. Does that make sense from
I don't
him?
know what that means. The desire is the tree.
He's trying to bring an analogy. He's bringing an analogy, right? Like it seems like the analogy is when he's going through this process, right? He's yearning for something, and it will be source of pain in his heart. So he's now in a state of pain, right?
Yeah.
And when he's getting this desire, somehow it's kind of like alleviating that pain.
Right. That is what he's saying. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So the tree, so the desire is the tree because the tree is promoting the growth of life, which sounds like a positive.
Yeah.
But okay, so maybe you could say that in the grand scheme of things, like if you have one tree, right? If you have like one tree, yeah, it promotes the growth of life, but it's not really doing so much. If you have like a million trees, like, yeah, that'll probably do something in that given area, whatever, like tree, like, like it's healthy for the environment, whatever. There's a lot of science, for that, fine, whatever. But the point of the matter is, maybe because of the desire, it's so like minimal that it may alleviate your pain, but it's not going to completely resolve your issue at your core.
Okay.
It's just like
So are you saying that the second half is negative?
yeah,
That
yeah,
means
because I'm
only
using
like
the
a
second
tree?
half as an analogy to the first part.
Right. Yeah. I don't see it.
Why not?
I don't see it as being. I don't see it. I don't see it as being negative.
Well, I thought he was using it as a sequence. How can it not be a negative if it's a
No,
sequence?
no, because it's saying that this is going to come and cure the pain that he felt, which is a good
Well,
thing.
so
I'm
is he
yeah.
is he saying cure completely? Like, I don't see that
That's what it
from
sounds
what
like.
he's doing.
V'yerofe mi ke'ev halev, and what ke'ev halev is that? It's the ke'ev halev that he got from the drawn out hope.
And heals the pain of his heart.
Yeah, yeah, and
Okay.
and what I'm beginning to think of is maybe he's using the. I don't know if this makes sense, but he's using this as like a medicinal tree, right? Like it's a tree that grows and promotes life and heals you. Sounds like something that's like giving you medicine for the sickness of your heart. Maybe that's the analogy. Okay,
All right,
yeah, we did try it. Yeah, so let's leave this and do someone else, and let's get something. Let's do because we need to get something. Let's do the Malbim, okay? And hopefully he'll give us something. Malbim never fails to say something definite, so at least we'll see what he's saying. So he says, "Yesh hebdel bein tocheles uvein tikva uvein tava." There is a difference between, okay, so tocheles, which is one word for hope, and tikva, which is another word for hope, and Taavah, which is I'm gonna go ahead and say yearning here. We'll see if that works out. Okay. Hamakave makave el hadavar ve'ein bo havtacha shebavadai tavo tikvaso. The one who has tikva, okay, hopes for something, and there is no like security that his hope will be fulfilled for certain. Aval hamiyachel, but the one who has like tochelas, okay, yesh lo havtacha, he has security, ubatuach shiyavu hadavar shu miyachal lav, and he knows that the thing he hopes for will come. So this is just what he's, again, Meiri, not Meiri. Malbim holds that there's no such thing as a synonyms in Hebrew. So he's saying that these two words have different connotations. Where does he get that from? From all other cases in Tanakh where he's learned it. Okay, that's his game. Okay, so we'll just rely on him for that. Okay, v'hamisaveh, but one who yearns, okay, that's Taavah. Sorry, who has Taavah? That's yearning. Ein lo gam tikva rak hu misave el hadavar ve'ein lo tikva shiyasigena. He also lacks tikva, hope, okay? Because he is only yearning for the thing, and he has no hope that he'll get it. Amar, the pasuk said, Gam tocheles im nimshach, even a tocheles, okay, which is like the hope that you are secure about, Gam hatocheles im nimshach, if it is delayed, okay, or protracted, I guess is a better word. If it is protracted, v'eno ba bisman karov, and doesn't come soon, rak bisman rachok, but comes a long way in the distance, kvar machales libo, then it will sicken your heart. Oh, Rivki, this is like what I was just saying, right? Like, if even if you're not exactly, but like this is something. This could even be something that is going to happen, but it's just so long into the future that like it's going to make you feel this pain. So he says, kvar machales libo hagam shebatuch shiavo davar, even though you are certain that the thing will come. Libo chole, your heart is sick, al shelo hiktim lavo, because it's not coming quick enough. V'kol shekain, all the more so, shalev hamisaveh chola, a heart that has taavah, yearning, is sick. V'hu chole she'en lo refuah. Maybe he is talking like lusting. I'm not sure. Let's try that. Desiring, or like lusting. Let me just try that out. I think that actually fits better. I don't know why I thought yearning, because maybe because that was a synonym. So the heart that's taavah is sick, she'en lo refuah, and has no cure. Kevan she'eno tikva klal, since it is not a hope at all. V'koshkein, or sorry, u'kamo shekasav tavas atal t'misenu. Like Shlomo said, the lust of the lazy person will kill him. V'imkein, and if so, kishehatava ba, when the tava comes, shu davar shelo kava alav. Oh, this is interesting. He's taking a weird turn, which is something he didn't hope for. Domek eitz chaim. It resembles a tree of life. Shemechaya es hanafsho hamisave, which enlivens the soul that yearned. Give me, this is yearning. All right, so let's see what he's saying. He's definitely learning this is like just insight into psychology of desires. But let's see if we can get it. So tocheles, you know the thing is going to come. Hope, you don't know whether it's going to come. And then yearning, it sounds like he's saying there's no even. Oh, okay. Yearning is like I hope I win the lottery one day, like that's like they're okay. Like, let's give examples. Tocheles is you're working to become a doctor, and you've got like many years of school ahead of you. Okay, so like it's a long way in the future, but you know that if you keep working at it, then you'll eventually get it. Okay, tikva is like you're starting a business, and like you think you might succeed, but you don't know for sure. And so like that's hope. And then taavah is like, I wish I would just like find a winning lottery ticket on the ground, So those are the three categories. Okay, let me just state these here. So tocheles is hope for something will come. Tikva is hope for something you're not sure will come. And taavah is pure yearning, where you're not even like actively thinking that the thing will come. Okay, just hoping. Okay, so that now we understand three categories. Okay, right? So then the chiddush of the first half, or the point the first half is making, is it's saying that even though if you're talking about tocheles, even though you know it's going to come, then that can still cause you sickness. I mean, obviously, I'm sure someone on this pasuk applies it to Mashiach. That's something that we know is going to come, but like that's been 2,000 years, right? So so that can lead to the sickness. So the question is like, what's the practical application here? Like, certainly you shouldn't. I don't think it's a good idea to just like devote your energy to yearning for stuff. It's like, how is this like wisdom? I have an application, actually, now that I think about it. But I'll give you a chance first. Okay, you want to hear my approach? I think I actually saw this somewhere. I'll read it and then we'll apply it to him. Who said this? Yeah, okay. The Meiri says this. Why didn't we go to the Meiri first, like we always do? Okay, fine. So he says like this. He says, Machla, I'm not going to translate it and type it out. Machla in a shame davar. So machla is not a noun here. It's not like rak benuni mibinan hifil kamo machlia. It means it causes sickness. This is giving you a piece of practical musar advice for someone who is seeking. Okay, for anyone who for anything that is sought after, that you promise those who seek it that you'll fulfill their requests. You should not delay their gift. Because someone who asks for something is going to be embarrassed by the very fact that he has to ask for it. And then the more time goes by, the more his heart is going to be pained. It's tarikly his bayish pamacheres, and he's going to be ashamed that maybe he has to ask again, or maybe his he's going to get rejected. Bim yafik lo tavaso lemoed asher yado. If you fulfill his desire at the time that you promise, then it's like a tree of life. Like a tree that, that's a good mashal. It's like a tree that gives its fruit in its proper time. Okay, meaning it's an on-time producer of the good. That a tree could be relied upon to give fruit in its proper time and to not be late. And the pri is the life of that which was asked for. The gift of a generous person is quick. Okay, I'm not exactly sure I get this piece of advice. You should give however much is fit to give to the recipient. Whether it's a lot or little, you shouldn't delay it. So I don't know if that's what the Malbim is talking about, but I think this could be advice in terms of how you interact with people who are hoping for things, right? That don't. So I think what's the Havamina here? Why do you have to be told that a drawn out hope is going to cause sickness? If you're in this framework here. Like if this is advice for someone who promises things, then what's the chiddush? Okay, I think that there is a feeling that when someone is expecting something and you promise them, you feel like because it's a promise, then that should somehow tide them over. Like if you didn't promise them and you kept them like guessing whether you're going to give it to them, then you would recognize that that's going to be like a cruel thing and it's going to give them anxiety. But like you tell them, no, look, I promise that I'm going to do this, But what the pasuk is telling you is, yeah, promises are good, but that's only if they are fulfilled in real time. But if it doesn't matter if you're promising, and you could mean it 100%. Like you could be telling the truth and you're promising you're going to do this for them, but if you never do it, then like it's just never gonna, then there's gonna be drawn out hope, and it's gonna be bad for them. And the opposite of that is if someone wasn't expecting something at all, just vaguely hoping for it, and then you give it to them, then like that is that's like a really like a great thing, and it's almost like a pasuk in Koheles that says tov mi lo tidor. Wait, no, I gotta read it. Tov shelo tidor misha tidor v'shalot v'lo tishalem. Hold on. Tishalem is in. He's in the earlier ones. Yeah, tov asher lo tidor misha tidor v'lo tishalem. Better that you should not vow than to vow and not pay. People do this with tzedakah all the time, by the way, right? I mean, I'm sure shuls face this all the time, that people tell the shul, I think the problem what I heard is that when people get called up for an aliyah and they say they're going to make a donation, like it's easy for the shul people to get their hopes up for that. But then like these people will promise that they're going to pay and they'll promise. And like either they just won't do it, or let's say they do it, but it's so long in the future that like it just caused so much anxiety and pain when you're like, waiting for them to like, to pay. Yeah. Okay. So I think that's good advice though, right? So the two pieces of advice are that, that don't think that just because you're promising something and you mean it, that you're tiding them over. You could actually be putting them into a greater state of pain than they were in before. And if you really want to make someone's day, then try to figure out what they're yearning for and just give it to them without promising, and it's just going to be like, I mean, it's a genre of like viral videos, right? Of like people giving like, large amounts of money to like people who didn't expect it, or like doing some huge to like the maid of the building, or so like that's a good example of this. Okay, that's good practical advice. More practical advice. David wants something actionable. This is definitely actionable. Okay, so let's review the ideas that we have. We had basically 3 ideas. Okay, we had the idea that, or the type of idea that Isaiah, Rivki, Yaakov, and I were developing, which is that this is really talking about the psychology of pleasure, which is that when you're selecting what type of pleasures to pursue, you need to factor in the state of pain that you're going to be in when you don't have that pleasure, either just from the time or the state of pain that the pleasure seeking will put you into. So for example, like, if you want to become a gold medalist, you're like, basically, let's say you want to become the best at anything, you're putting yourself into a state of pain constantly until like you get to that best, that number 1 spot, so like you're pledging yourself to like this state of pain. So that's so that was Isaiah's idea. Rivki's idea was translated into more of a practical thing. Oh, sorry, I forgot the second half of Isaiah's idea, which is that you should instead pursue things that the pleasure is within reasonable reach and you could get it immediately. Rivki extended that to anything that has a realistic timeline for the pleasure and to make your desires realistic. Yaakov said that this was actually, I guess I said that this has to do with cultivating your appreciation of pleasures that you don't seek. This actually ends up lining up with the Malbim's definition of it's just I'm applying it to all pleasures in life, whereas we're saying that the Malbim is applying it to like giving something to someone else. And then Yaakov said it's talking to is yearning for one big major like event, and that's just going to set you up for bad stuff. Okay, and then we had the approaches of my dad and Ariel and Ayala, which is that that it's 2 methods of attaining what you want. There's the failure method of hoping and fantasizing and wishing, and that's just going to leave you with the pain. And then there's the tree of life plan, where you're going to end up like getting what you want, and it's going to be a tree of life in the development sense and in the Mechaya sense, where like you can like have this enjoyment. And then we have the Malbim's idea and the Meiri's idea, which is when you're making promises, then be aware that when you, even though you promise something, a drawn out deferred delivery of the promise is going to cause a lot of pain, and it's worse than promising in the first place. Whereas if you just give someone something that they were yearning for, it's going to give them like a supercharge of pleasure. So yeah. Okay, we got stuff out of this weird pasuk. Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Still weird that it says Taavah, and I do have to check and see if Taavah is used in good ways in other places, but for now that's good. Okay. Thanks for coming. Till next time.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Thank you.